All right, everybody. Welcome to episode. I don't know what number episode this is because I don't know what order I'm uploading them. But yeah, welcome to another interview. Today with me, I got a very, very special guest. Goes way back with We Got Game, and obviously this is the We Got Game podcast. So obviously we had to bring him on here. So welcome to the podcast. Some of you may know him as Sacrifice. He just told me his name is Mike. So what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
So, he has a really long history with We Got Game, as he was telling me before. I'm gonna let him get into it. So yeah, man, what's kind of like your history with We Got Game overall, and how you feel about it?
Well, it started back in the Dixie Mall days. Not many people now know about those days, but Dixie Mall days were just we were coming up playing a lot of Halo 3, a lot of Gears of War 2, just kind of making a name for ourselves, even as a community in general. Probably started when I was like 13, 14 years old, and a lot of the things that a lot of the people I talk to now, or a lot of people, or just competitiveness comes from. It all stems from We Got Game. It got me into the bigger tournaments like MLG, but We Got Game really started it for all our local community here in Toronto.
Obviously you've been with We Got Game for like doing tournaments for a while. We had one last week, so I just want to so obviously you participating in the tournament means you have some experience with like the NHL community and like just like We Got
Yep.
Games. Recently been diving into the NHL. So like, what are your kind of thoughts on how We Got Game has tackled an NHL and like your experience with the game?
Yeah, I mean, Dave always darns. If there's one thing that we do here at We Got Game, and I say this we because I work for Dave. I've been with Dave and We Got Game for a very long time. Um, but one thing that we do well is run a good tournament, and that's one thing that you'll never kind of be doubted with We Got Game. We run just a standard. Been doing this for a very long time, and if you've been in esports as long as I have, it's kind of like every tournament's kind of run this way, where it's like pool play, kind of like the tournament over the weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and then the top two teams go to a double elimination bracket. I think it's the fairest way to do a tournament. Dave and I always, when we used to do tournaments as well, we always used to talk about if people are spending their money, we want them to play as much as they can before they get knocked out. Because if you start with a double elimination bracket, you play two games, you're out.
Yep.
If you know what I mean, if
Yeah.
you're not a team that's mediocre or not so good. So we want you to kind of get a bang for your buck, and that's kind of where the pool play thing steps in. So at least you're playing, 3, 4 games before getting knocked out of a tournament if you measure up where
Yeah.
you're at the bottom tier of the tournament.
You are the captain of Rise to Fame. So,
Yeah.
let me ask about how you did in that tournament, man, because I just looked at the bracket and y'all made it past the round robin, but it was a quick bounce after that. So, what were your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, we never. I don't want to say we didn't expect anything. I mean, obviously, I came in with a few hitters, and we are hitters in terms of the sixes community. I want to say,
Yeah,
but threes is a whole different game. I mean,
100%.
we didn't really go in and practice. It wasn't anything that we were kind of doing too crazy for. But that's not to take anything away from the competition over that
Mm-hmm.
tournament. To be honest, I was very surprised with the competition that was in the tournament.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys, they do play sixes, like the Nationals, who went very far in that
Oh,
tournament.
yeah.
They play a lot of sixes. In terms of everybody that pretty much made bracket play, was all very good teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to take anything away. The competition was as good as I think is ever going to get. We got a few unlucky situations, but in terms of threes, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, with the format, and it's not Dave's format. With the format of the game, if you take a penalty, it's a penalty shot. It's a
Mhm.
huge momentum shift. You know what I mean? Whereas sixes, you go on a power play, you could still probably kill it.
Yeah.
But we didn't really go in there expecting to win per
Mhm.
se. Obviously, the competitiveness in me, I wanted to make top 3, top 4.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. Some things happen, and like I said, I've been around for a long time. So, disappointments come with the success.
What's kind of like because I play a lot too, but I'm just kind of curious, like, what's your kind of mindset going into like a threes game versus sixes game? Is it different? Because when you're in a sixes game, right, there's like 5 other players on the ice. When a threes,
Right.
it's just because in threes, I feel like you can kind of take over the game on your own. In sixes, it's a lot harder. So, what's the kind of difference
Yeah.
there for you?
I mean, for threes, it's more like you just got to keep possession of the puck, play
Yeah.
smart. You have a lot of space, so you're not really forced to make a play per se. You
Mhm.
can kind of get into your own rhythm, get into your own zone. There's times where you need to move the puck quick, but in terms of sixes, like sixes, you gotta be one step ahead of the game at all times in sixes. You gotta know where that puck's going before it
Yep.
even you receive the pass type thing.
What do you feel like the impact on the community is from We Got Game itself, whether it's like NHL tournaments, Rocket League, Halo, Call of Duty, that like, well, they're like the values they're trying to push and how it has like positively affected the community overall.
Right. Well, We Got Game is among other tournaments that are doing online tournaments, but We Got Game something special, man. This community is a family usually. A lot of my best friends I've met through We Got Game, believe it or not, in terms of just local gaming communities. But not only that, it's just We Got Game gives people an opportunity because usually people are watching big leagues. It's not necessarily for NHL, but compared to like Call of Duty, let's say, where you have your big Call of Duty CDL league, where it's a big league sanctioned, it's got cities in it. You see your Call of Duty professional leagues. I mean, if you're talking in terms of that, that was an opportunity. That's where I started. It was We Got Game, local tournaments, local communities, and back then it was all live. It was all you were going to an
Yep.
event. But with this pandemic, we don't have that privilege right now.
Of course.
But regardless, it gives people an opportunity, like I said earlier, to see where they measure up against the community. But not only that, it gives you proving grounds. If you're really good and you haven't had the chance to prove yourself, enter these tournaments. I strongly suggest it because it's just it gives you a way in and it keeps you motivated and competing and kind of focused on the bigger picture. Because when you're playing at home, especially now when we're just playing at home and playing online, and there's not really much to play for, you can get kind of, I wouldn't say you would kind of, your motivation kind of dwells a little bit
Yeah.
because there's really nothing to play for. So you're playing every day. If you're playing every day, you're motivated. It's just like you're just kind of playing for nothing at one point. You kind of hit a plateau, you kind of hit a peak.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get bored. But if you go to these tournaments, I mean, I know the biggest thing is putting money up, even if it's $15.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I think, and Dave and I always ran into this, was as soon as we introduced, oh, it's a buy-in tournament, people kind of shade away from it.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't even think about that $10, $15 by the end of the tournament if you lose. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then if you win, it's like you get cash back.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're even more motivated to kind of do your thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You mentioned like I think the difference between like say like an NHL tournament, if I could get your opinion here, is like when you're playing Halo or Call of Duty, it's a lot like yourself. Like what can you do to help yourself win? But when you're playing NHL, you're relying on yourself, obviously, but also like there's a huge team impact. So if you can like kind of speak on how that affects like tournament play in general.
Yeah, I mean, it's just anything team based when it comes to Halo, Call of Duty, NHL, whatever you want to say. People don't really think about it, I should say, but I'm a big person that even in my sixes league, I like to preach this. It's just communication, man.
Yep.
Using your voice. A lot of these top players, if you watch their stream, even in sixes or whatever, they don't really talk to each other.
Nope.
But that's just because they're on their same wavelength,
Yeah.
and they've probably been playing with each other for a very long time, which some people it works out better that way.
Yeah.
But if you are a type of player that you're looking for something to get better at, I would say communication is a big thing in any game that you play.
Mm-hmm.
Letting your teammates know that you're going to take the guy in front of the net or the guy I'm going to take the high slot.
Yeah.
It gives your teammate a peace of mind. Okay, now that I know he's got that, I could take the force cross crease if we're talking NHL, or it gives your teammates a peace of mind, because a lot of mistakes come from split second decisions where you don't know where your teammates are going to be, or if you don't know where the puck's going to go.
Yeah.
But if you guys can kind of figure out, okay, he's taking that man, I'm taking this man, last guy's got puck, then you don't really have to worry about, if you're talking threes, then you don't really have to worry about anything. Everything's kind of there. And I mean, mistakes still happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the game. But at least you guys are working towards something as a team. And then later on, when you start figuring out, if you're playing with a lot of people, and naturally it just comes from, okay, I'm on this portion of the ice. Now I know what to take. Then you start, it just starts coming naturally. But if you're someone who's really looking to figure out how to get better, I would say just start communicating with your teammates and figuring it out that way.
So you talk about the tournaments in or like playoffs in LG, like the intensity. So like how do you feel like the intensity is when you're talking like a We Got Game NHL tournament? Like is it the same? Is it better? What kind of intensity are you feeling there?
Yeah, it's a little harder, right? Because when I play sixes and then I play threes, I don't play to be honest, I barely played threes. I don't play threes.
Yep.
I just everything that happened in the tournament this past weekend was all natural talent between me, Pelly, and Modi.
Yep.
So we're not a big threes guy, and like I said, I'm not taking anything away from those guys
Yep.
that made the bracket. The Tropics, Nationals, everybody who played in that bracket, all very good NHL players,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, it's just when it doesn't matter. Playoffs, tournament, for me personally, and this could vary for anyone else, but for me personally, I like to take it all the same. So
Yep.
whether it's playoffs, whether it's a tournament, for me, I'm coming out hard. I want to win, and usually you'll find me playing better in playoffs or tournaments
Mm-hmm.
than in regular season.
Okay.
I'm that player. I've always been that player.
Okay. So you
It's
ramp
just
it up. You ramp it up. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
For me, it's just it comes naturally for me to kind of flick that switch
Yep.
and take it to the next gear, and so it's easy for me. And I don't do it every time. There's been tournaments where or the series where you don't play as well, but that's part of it. And you got to bounce back, and you got to find
Yep.
yourself, and you got to you know what I mean. You got to just find a way to play better the next series if you make it through that
Mm-hmm.
series.
Let's get into our first sponsor segment, brought to you by Whoosh. I also have the hat on. So what Whoosh does is, our electronics be getting dirty sometimes. So if you want them to be super clean, use your Whoosh. And the question I want to ask you is, let's say, you're on a breakaway, you're down by a goal. What's the move? What you doing?
Oh, my go-to was you come in, you'd kind of get them going, that thinking you're gonna go forehand.
Yep.
Little stick handle in between, going forehand, backhand, and then top left. 100%. I was a right-handed shot, so
Oh yes,
forehand,
sir.
backhand,
Okay.
top
Okay.
left.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
my go-to.
Okay. So now, if you could think of one moment in your career where you were yo, I'm sick of this game. You know what I mean? Like, what's your kind of moment right there?
I mean, in terms of NHL, I think my career, if you could say, is very short-lived and very young, but I have a lot of potential. I think the biggest thing for me in NHL standpoint was Mem Cup, Moncton series. I low-key kind of took over a game and and we swept them
Yes,
based
sir.
off that game.
Okay. Okay.
Just because we were considered the third line of Valdor, and not saying that we weren't good. It was just our team was that good.
Yeah.
And we usually matched up against other teams' first lines, and we ended up beating their first line. I think it was 3-1, 2-1. I ended up scoring 2 goals. And you just kind of that takeover factor. You go in, like I said, you click into another level, you go beast mode. And,
Yep.
their manager was talking a little bit of smack.
As you can tell, Mike has a pretty clean setup. We got the red going. And I guarantee his setup is clean thanks to Whoosh, right?
100%.
Of
All
course.
monitors are clean at all
Yes,
times,
sir.
and I got 4 of those bad boys.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
putting the Whoosh to good-
Three more than
good
I
use.
have. Three more than I have. But yeah. So who's your NHL player comparable? Like, you play center. So what's a center you think you play similar to in the league?
Oh, oof. I'd say I'm more of a two-way defensive center. I don't know if you could put anything to that in terms of names in the NHL
So we're talking
or anything like that.
like a Bergeron, a Couturier, a Kopitar, guys like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could still kind of play offensively, so I wouldn't even say I'm not like a goal scorer like Matthews per se.
Yeah.
In terms of the NHL type thing, I could definitely score goals, but my build isn't the best for scoring goals.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes muffins come out, and
Yeah.
you don't have that sharpshooter is type thing. but I just think I'm a very smart player. I'm very aware. I see what's in front of me. I know how to fill gaps very well. I know how to break down teams or even make it hard for teams to get into zones, get entries. Um, I'm a very two-way, very level player. Everyone who in the LG community, in terms of management and working my way up in the AHL and NHL, have said that they really like my game a lot.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for a few teams falling apart last season, I think I would have got my shot in the end.
Mhm.
So it's just a matter of time. But in terms of my game personally, I think I'm consistent, I'm solid, and I just bring that togetherness in terms of my communication and
Yeah.
what I expect from a line.
Give me your NHL 21, your loadout, your traits, and what kind of like build you use, two-way forward or whatever. So what are you kind of rocking with when you hop in the game?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember my traits here, but I'm rocking a 5'11", 190, I believe, two-way forward. I got one-time wonder on. I think precise passing, I believe, and I think quick. I want to say quick release or a shooting trait there.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on the actual trait. It's been a while since I looked at my traits there. Um, that's my center build. I have a winger build as well. It depends if I want to go fast or not.
Yeah.
But, for my center build, it's definitely a two-way forward. My winger build would be just a generic sniper build like everyone else uses.
Are we talking like 5'7",
nothing
160, or like? Cause
I have a class that's like that, but I think when I was the winger, the AHL is different, man. Like
yeah.
you can't really go for speed in the A like you could in the C.
Mhm.
I was mostly a center, but most of my wingers, I could tell you, were 5'7", those speed demons.
Yeah.
In the A, you couldn't really do that, man. I mean,
Okay.
there's a few people that kind of lived and died by it, and I
Yeah.
have to respect the hell out of them. But for the most part, people in the A were going, 6'2", 6 foot over. So it's a different game. They rely on their bumps. They rely on their stick lifts. They rely on their stick checks, and it works. It shuts a lot of the fast guys down. Not only that, but I feel like most of the people know how to defend in the A. In the C, I feel like the biggest difference if you're gonna play in LG, this is all LG terms by the way for the listeners.
Yeah.
If you're gonna play in LG, the biggest difference I think is defense in the C to the A. It's just a different game, Teams don't get lost. Teams make it very hard for you to score, very hard for you to get in the zone. So that's something that you gotta adjust to. I mean, luckily, I've always had some friends in the N and the A that I could kind of like. They'd invite me to games, and I can get some few games in with some people. So it wasn't a shock to me. But if you're new, coming from the C, let's say you have a really good season, you get drafted to the A, or you get bidded on and you get into the A. That's the biggest difference right there. Is just the builds, the defense, and the way people play.
We got to get into our next sponsor segment, which is brought to you by GamerGoo.
Betty Sue and her opponent Drew are intensely playing Zombie Wall 2. Betty Sue, I'm drenched with dew. My hands feel like they've been dipped in fondue. Of course they do, Drew, you bumbling buckaroo. You're not using Gamer Goo. A non-slip lotion, a hand cream for you. 3 lovely scents worth your review. Peppermint, orange peel, and cinnamon. Ooh, you'll get energy and focus that's long overdue. Don't believe us? Just ask
Justin Clark. The chemistry of GamerGoo involved
not only for gaming, but stick sports too. Could you imagine a match without GamerGoo? Drew placed his order for GamerGoo. They hugged it out, stuck together like glue, but they're brother and sister, and that's kind of taboo.
I have this sample here, which I've already opened, and I have it on right now. So, when we be gaming, I know Mike probably knows about this. Your hands be sweating, bro. So, when you're playing NHL, maybe you don't want to shoot, and then your finger slips and you shoot, and then your team's really mad at you. GamerGoo stops that. So, it is a, what does it say here? It stops sweaty hands at the source. So, if y'all be sweating, pick up some GamerGoo, and the question I want to ask you is, what is your favorite NHL game of all time? If you got to pick one.
I had to pick one.
Yeah.
Favorite or most memorable? I guess it kind of goes hand in hand,
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
it?
I would say.
Ah, man, the first NHL game I ever picked up and took seriously, I think, was NHL 07.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mean, my memory might be a little faded because it's been a while, but
Yeah.
I remember being pretty high up in the versus leaderboards because that's all we had back then.
Yeah, 100%.
I remember coming home for a while, for months and months on end, and just grinding versus every single day. I knew like 5 or 6 glitch shots back then.
Yep.
There was a wrap glitch, a blue line glitch,
Yep.
a face-off circle glitch, and you name it, I knew them all. I remember being about 15th to 11th in the world back then,
Jeez,
pretty
okay.
high in Canada as well. So, like I said, memory might be a little jaded there, but that was my first NHL game that I picked up and was like, okay, I could be good at this.
Yeah. Shout out to Gamer Goo for sponsoring that segment. As I said before, stop sweaty hands at the source. We don't want your controller slipping out of your hands. So yeah, pick up some Gamer Goo. We've covered everything I wanted to cover. Just some closing remarks here. Thank you, Sacrifice or Mike, for coming on the podcast. It was a good interview. This is the first time I'm talking to him personally, so it went well. So plug everything you want to plug. Shout out to We Got Game here. So what do you want to say to close off the podcast here?
Yeah, I mean, Nick, was nice talking to you, man. I know it was our first time actually meeting.
Yeah.
We talked in Discord briefly, but it was our first time actually meeting per se over webcam, and it was a good chat. Shout out to We Got Game, man. I mean, like I said, Dave and I, he is not only he's just always been a special guy to me in terms of not only the gaming community, but he took me under a wing under us. I think I was like 17, 18 when I first started working for Dave, and I worked for him for nearly 10 years, man. And
Yeah.
it was a great journey. We went to a bunch of college and universities in the area, and we did our thing. And it was a lot of fun. Some of my best memories in terms of working. Dave himself, he's a great guy, great family, just very family man, very family oriented.
100%.
Just a great person to be around. I wouldn't say taught me a lot of morals, but he definitely kept me in check.
Yeah.
He's that fatherly guy.
Yeah,
If you step out
100%.
of line, he's going to keep you in check type thing. So I respect that from the get-go. We've never, and honestly, in 10 years of knowing the guy, 10, 12 years of knowing the guy, I don't think Dave and I ever had an argument or never really clashed, Yeah. We respected each other. We did our thing, and it was good. So if you guys want to catch me on any of my socials, first off, it's sSacrifice_ for Twitter, sSacrifice for Twitch. I do stream a lot of my LG games. Sometimes I stream some scrims as well, or just when I'm messing around with the boys. Mostly I've been streaming some Warzone lately. So if you guys are any of you guys are big COD guys, I do stream a lot of Warzone.
Yeah.
Those are the only 2 big socials I would say
Okay.
that I have. But for the most part, I say this again just because I was there, and when you're first getting into a scene, you're really skeptical of just entering and taking that step.
Yeah.
So I know there's a little bit of a buy-in there. In my opinion, $15 was a blessing this past weekend.
Yep.
He could have easily put that $20-$30 and people would have still paid it, in my opinion. I would have paid it personally.
Yeah.
I paid a lot more. But $15 is a blessing. So if you feel like $15 is steep nowadays, I know the pandemic, you guys don't have to say anything, but if you can afford it and it doesn't put you in a position where you're in debt or whatever, you just put in that $15, come out, or whatever the price, whatever the buy-in is, come out, come to a tournament. Even if it doesn't go the way as planned, I'm telling you, there is something there that you will feel that cannot be explained, and you will want to come to more tournaments.
Yep.
So that's where I'm going to leave it at. And
Yeah.
We Got Game will provide that opportunity for sure.
That's what We Got Game does, man. So yeah, shout out to Mike for coming on with me. Check out We Got Game on all the socials at We Got Game _corp. Also check out our sponsor team, the We Got Game Tropics, on Twitter. And yeah, we also have a NHL 3v3 season starting up soon. Thanks again to Sacrifice for coming on. Y'all have a great day, great night whenever you're listening to this, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.